Okay, I've just given her a first coat of paint. I had some of this left over. This is what I planned to use anyway. It's the Northane that goes with the primer I used. If you're using this, just be aware this is a 2-to-1, whereas the primer is a 3-to-1, so that could easily catch you out. There was just enough to do the bottom and a very light coat on the side, so I'll head out and buy some more of this. It's a little over $100, so it's expensive, but this is below the waterline paint. It's really good quality marine paint. One lesson, until you actually put a gloss paint on, you don't realise how bad your prep work has been. So it's really showing up some of these issues here. What I think I'll do though, because I'm keen to get this on the water and have a sail, and also start on a bit of the topside work that needs doing. So I'll probably give this one more good coat. We'll do a bit of sailing, and then in winter I will do a bit more fairing here to smooth this down after sanding, and then we can do another third coat over the top. So that's the plan at the moment. Okay, I've done a second coat of the gloss, so once this is dried, she's now ready to sail, test out the rigging and that sort of thing. Which means I need to rig up a dolly to be able to sit it on. So next job is to put in these inspection ports. Now I've used some roof and gutter sealant all the way around the rim of this. Fair amount. I kind of want to see it all squeeze out, so I know I've fully covered that, and I might actually just, because I've painted these a few times, I'm just gonna lightly rough up around the hole here with some sandpaper, just to give it maybe a bit of something to key into. But essentially, unlike paint here, this is more about just creating a pressurized rubber seal. So I've drilled the holes here. Let's try and get those roughly aligned, and in it goes. Okay, so I'm hoping that's enough. Let's just take it off and have a look, because oh, that's interesting. Even the roof and gutter holds it on quite nicely just once you put it on there. Before I put on the oh yeah, and that's quite a good seal. I'm just going to put a little bit more on, because I'd like to see it sort of squeeze out as I screw that in. But essentially, yeah, that's how I'm going to fit these inspection ports. Okay, and there it is fitted. So what I've used there is a hand screwdriver. I really don't want to strip these screws, as even though they're going into 2 layers of ply, I don't want to over tighten them and sort of strip the holes. And I'm just using white vinegar with a bit of a rag here to wipe off the excess roof and gutter sealant. Got the second one on, and just a little tip. What you can do is make a tiny mark like this on the side once you've drilled, using the port itself as the actual guide to the holes. That means once you've put on the roof and gutter or your sealant, when you put it back in, you're exactly aligned with where the holes need to be, just to save a little bit of time. And that tiny mark there, I'm not too worried about that, as it won't be noticed. Now I'm just screwing back in this, I think it's called the painter, essentially the anchor. Oh, that's a little bit that's kind of annoying that it's ended up on an angle. Well, the reality is that it shouldn't need to screw in anyway. It actually should bolt on, and the tension should be coming from the other side. So let's line that up nice and even like that. I've got some more sealant around the outside there, which is all squeezed out of the hole, which is fine. And then we'll screw it on this way, and this side should provide the relevant pressure. Actually, I've got, yeah, no, let's use that because that's a stainless steel washer. It could be a little bit bigger there just because my surface is a bit irregular. But I'll screw this on and then cut this down with a grinder to the right length so it's not in the way. And by the way, the screws I'm using, these ones here, only 12mm for the inspection ports. The reason is I don't want to reach in there and find that there's a screw coming through with a sharp point that's going to cut my wrist if I'm frantically reaching for some rope or something I've stored in there. So with the double thickness of the ply, those are about perfect in that they don't come through the other side as that's screwed through. Okay, so this missing section here needs to be filled in before I can put the sort of corner bits on there. Look, ideally I should sort of merge this like I did with the two pieces here, but it's already doubled up ply. I've already got sort of, that's a solid piece there on the rub rail. I don't really think it's necessary to strengthen it. So what I've done is epoxied this particular piece that I've cut and shaped. I've epoxied and then applied thickened epoxy with wood flour along here, and then I'm going to clamp that on to fix that up. So this inner rub rail here, inwale, is now gluing. I've also filled a bunch of holes that were around the hull so they can kind of be re-drilled and be stable again. Did the same on the rear here where the block was for the, and it looks like it's been sort of moved from one side to the other. So I filled up both where the block was for the main sheet. And these little things here, I wanted to actually fiberglass the entire thing, but what I've gone and done, just because I didn't quite mix enough epoxy, is fiberglass the points where it was weak, which is here where there was a lot of cracking, and here where there was a kind of internal crack. Then what I'll do is paint these with varnish to fully waterproof them, and then refit them, particularly now that the holes have been re-drilled. I'm not sure what purpose these actually serve, but that will be enough to strengthen them, given that, look, it's just thin ply anyway. Okay, so given I'm just about finished fixing up the mirror, I wanted to go through the costs to highlight, the end result here as to whether it was worth fixing up a mirror in this condition. So what I've consumed is here 1 litre epoxy. I actually have consumed a bit more than a litre. Now, granted, you would need to buy it in 2 litre bottles, but when you buy a wooden boat, there's going to be ongoing maintenance, so I thought I'd just put this in as 1.3 litre. Epoxy, about $70 a litre, so it's $100 in epoxy. Fiberglass tape, I had some on hand that I kind of made from a big sheet. You'd need about 15 metres of the 50mm, I figure, so there's about $15. Fairing powder to smooth it out, that is a whole tub there, but you wouldn't go through a whole tub, obviously. 4 inspection ports. I haven't yet put the front one on, but I'm going to need to get one of those. Sanding discs and such, so I've bought 2 sizes there. Paint brushes, rollers. I actually was surprised this was so much. Actually, that's not 3, that's 1. I saw I spent about $35 on those at Bunnings. This is where, again, the expense comes in. So it's on the epoxy, and I used really good primer and paint because, that's sort of the bit that's in the water. So each there, a litre, $84, $105, and then just some miscellaneous bits of timber for the repairs that I've done. I actually had the bits of timber around or cut them off different bits of leftovers, but I've put in an allowance of that of only $25. So a lot of work went into it, $450 in expenses there. I haven't even sort of, I'll work out the cost of the dolly that I've made, and I'll do a separate video on that. But at $450, with a free dinghy, is it worth it? Well, in comparison, if you keep your eyes out for good ones that come up,
This was one I wish I had snapped up. $600. Looks like it was in really good condition. Was relatively close to me. Everything involved there, and it included its own dolly and that sort of stuff as well. $600, and there would have been no work involved at all. So, look, it's touch and go, but at least I know that it's been sort of restored in a condition that I'm comfortable with. So I think that's the key thing, that you did it yourself, and it's then your boat that you can take out knowing you've done the work. So there's value in that. So is it worth it? Well, if you don't mind doing the work, and I'd sometimes rather do that than just sit on the couch and watch TV. If you're a bit handy, then go ahead and do the work, because it can be enjoyable. All right.